Happy New Year. Hope you all had a great and pleasant and safe holiday season with your families. And that 2025 is being kind to you so far. Welcome. This is the first video of the new year. We're going to talk about something that I had planned to try to get in before the new year, but just didn't get around to it. As such, here we are. And the movie we're going to talk about today is, of course, if you've seen the title of this video, it is Strange Days. Let's discuss. This movie was hard to find. If you've done any research at all online, you'll know it's not on streaming anywhere. If you Google it, you'll see some places tell you that it's available for streaming, but it isn't. So just know that off the top. Yes, I am recommending this movie flat out. If you haven't seen this movie, I'm going to tell you right now, before I even get into the meat of my discussion, you should watch this movie. It's very good. It's very different. And it's surprisingly very timely. It seems that way. It seems very relevant now. The movie was directed by Catherine Bigelow, who Academy Award winner for the film The Hurt Locker. But she's directed some really strong movies. Blue Steel, the Jamie Lee Curtis movie she directed. Point Break, which is an amazing movie. That's an amazing movie. More recently, she directed the film Detroit. And she is criminally left out of the great director conversations. I feel like she should be included. Even if you take one or two of her films, she deserves to be in that conversation. Story concept came from James Cameron, who, Terminator fame, Avatar fame. This was a collaboration that was special. You can see both of them in this movie, which is really interesting to note when you know the styles of James Cameron, the kind of stories he likes to tell, and the technical prowess on display in Catherine Bigelow's movies. It's a nice marriage, for lack of a better term, of their two respective film styles. And the result is it's a really strong, impactful, just beautiful movie. And again, I mentioned how this movie was difficult to find. I'd been trying to see it for some time. And at one point, it apparently was available on HBO Max to stream. But by the time I got around to watching it, it was not. I had to order it online. There was a defective copy. Finally got a copy that worked, and I'm glad I did, because and it makes me actually, just before I get into the movie, it makes me miss owning new releases on a physical copy. I think the last movie I purchased, I think I may have mentioned this before in a different video, was probably No Time to Die. I think was the last sort of DVD or Blu-ray, something I was able to get my hands on. Oh no, that's not true. It was Super Mario Brothers. I think that was probably the last DVD, which is weird. I found it on a random day of the week, maybe 2 months after the movie had come out, and I found it at a Safeway, of all places, the most random place. Yeah, I was shopping and I saw it there and I was like, get it right now. I was surprised how quickly it came out. Back in the day, those movies used to take about 6 months before they were released on home video release. That seems to have changed somewhere along the way, because and I hadn't seen anything like that since. But for whatever reason, this is where we are. And collecting a copy of Strange Days felt like going to Best Buy or Walmart or somewhere and finding the movie there. And it was perfectly wrapped. It was as if I went to a store and picked it up, which was nice when I got it. So it was really nice to feel that and have it work. It was great. So now, that out of the way, into the movie. This movie is wild. So the movie, I don't even know where to start. It stars Angela Bassett, Ralph Fiennes, Juliette Lewis in these sort of three key roles. Tom Sizemore from Heat. William Fichtner is in this movie. Vincent D'Onofrio. Yeah, but it's a stacked cast. Like, it's a ridiculous cast. And the idea that this movie was not well received when it came out is ludicrous to me. It's just ridiculous. I having seen it now, and I don't even think I remember hearing too much about it in the mid '90s. Vaguely, maybe, but that year, the movie came out in 1995. Of course, that was also the year GoldenEye came out, and I was a huge Bond fan. I was just getting into Bond sort of around that time, between 95 and 97. So it was not, Strange Days was not a movie in my situation. But here we have Ralph Fiennes, who stars as a cop, or a former cop, who, when we meet him, he's a sort of street hustler. And he deals in other people's lives, other people's memories, which is on its surface immediately a unique concept. So you have a guy who's like selling drugs. You're selling memories, which can be a drug. In this film, you can become really enraptured by that practice and become addicted to living someone else's life. Really, you're feeling someone's memory, and but you need a device called the squid to access these memories that are recorded and copied on these little mini compact discs, and just even for now, it's a cool concept. I think in this time period, it reminded me of the device in Inception, where there's it's carry in a briefcase, originally designed for military use, and now being used by various individuals to achieve their goals and stuff. Similarly, the squid is used on the black market. It was meant for FBI use to replace the audio wire that we know today someone's mic'd up underneath their clothes. The squid was designed for that purpose, and illegally now being used in this world to sell memories. The movie takes place in 1999, 4 years away from when the movie was actually released. It's unique because you start seeing things that make a lot of sense. There was a concern in the 90s that when the year 2000 hit, Y2K was going to be a big deal. All the power was going to go out. It's going to be the end of the world. It's just going to be not good. And that's prevalent in this movie, the sort of the notion that you're living in a world that's at the end of its sort of time. And right before New Year's, this is like a couple days before New Year's hits, and it's complete and utter chaos. When you think about the context in which this movie came out, this is post Rodney King beating that happened in the early 90s, and then the subsequent LA riots. It's really electric. It's charged and it's powerful, and you see that in the movie. But the movie obviously is not about that. It's just sort of in the background. The heart of this movie, though, is Ray Fiennes' character Lenny, and Angela Bassett's character Mace, and Juliette Lewis's character is Faith. Those three characters sort of make up the blood and guts of this movie. And in its simplest terms, it's a story about a man who loves a woman and another woman who loves the man. It's an interesting love triangle situation. That's really the heart. And then you have, of course, Lenny's best friend, played by Tom Sizemore, in that mix. There's another layer of interpersonal stuff going on, and it's very well executed. The story is that, and you have but the main sort of plot point, though, that's driving all of this is a prominent Black artist and social activist is murdered, and that sort of, there's a cover up around that, and so characters have to or end up being embroiled in the mystery to figure out what really happened and what it really means for the characters and everybody around them. It's a good situation. It's like a neo-noir story set in a post-apocalyptic Los Angeles, at the brink of total destruction, and yet at the heart you have this very human love story, really. And that's good. That's a good time to segue, I think, into the characters. Hands down, look, Ray Fiennes, Angela Bassett, Tom Sizemore, all these actors are great. They're already like solid. By this point in their careers, they were already ridiculous. But for my money, the standout in this movie has to be Angela Bassett. She's really the beating heart of this movie. She does not phone one scene in. She is completely committed, and it is just like she's already queen status. We know her now as Queen Ramonda from the Black Panther movies, and she's of course she's very good on the 911 show. But in this movie, again, she was already tight because you saw her in, like, she was already doing Tina Turner and stuff. She was already, this is post Boys in the Hood. She was already like a commanding. She was a presence already. This movie, she's even more so a presence. She is, and she's, yeah. And I can't speak any more highly of Angela Bassett's performance. She really makes you believe everything that's happening. To say nothing of Ray Fiennes, who is great and plays Lenny with, he's a guy who is, he's in a bad way. He's down on his luck a little bit, but he's pining over this woman who doesn't love him anymore. And that's Faith, played by Juliette Lewis, who's also fantastic. She's solid. She also does her own songs in this movie. She's really singing in this movie. If you don't know, some of you know Juliette Lewis she's no stranger to the music scene. She's had bands and she's been like, she's legit. Like, it's not a joke. So I was surprised to learn that she was doing her own singing in this movie, and it's great. The songs are great. The soundtrack is great. She's great. But the person who makes you feel the most in this movie is Angela Bassett. And so if you take nothing else away from what I'm saying about this, definitely think about Angela Bassett when you watch this movie. Or if you're considering to watch this movie, she's the reason you watch, because she's excellent. I mentioned the technical prowess of Catherine Bigelow on display, and this movie is another example of the fact that you forget, because she's not often talked about, which is, I think, is a real shame, because she can direct the heck out of a movie. The film has an opening sequence from the first person perspective that is basically, it's a sequence of the preparation, execution, and the result of a bank robbery, a sort of a restaurant robbery. They're going to rob a restaurant. And it's so expertly crafted, expertly shot. There's no break in the audience view, how you see what the first person situation looks like. The idea being you're looking at someone's memory having been recorded by use of the squid, and you're watching a sort of the playback of this person's memory. And it's so well put together, so well edited and well shot. I think Catherine Bigelow did a heck of it. Just for that sequence alone, there's several of first person sequence like this in the movie, but that first one really sets the tone for what a key storytelling device that we're going to be introduced to. The stakes, like the functionality, it's part of the world building. It's a really good opening sequence, and I think Catherine Bigelow should get more credit just in general for her work, because they had to create a camera system to make this. This sounds a lot like James Cameron talking about developing the technology to make the Avatar movies. They didn't have some of the cameras to make the movies as he saw them in the 90s, when he came up with the story for, or really in the 80s, he came up with the story for Strange Days, probably in the mid 80s, around the time he was working on Aliens. But he was thinking about Avatar for all those years, but you couldn't really make it the way we saw it in 2009, because the technology wasn't there. So they had to take all this time to develop and research. And similarly, Catherine Bigelow did something similar with these cameras that they used to shoot these first person shots. It's mind blowing. Just that alone, she needs to get more credit. Production design is another thing that's awesome. It just feels, LA feels lived in. It reminded me a lot of Blade Runner. How that is another version of LA, super like dirty and edgy, and like, but it feels like it's had a life, like it has a whole history implied by what you see on screen. Areas are like the buildings are sort of decrepit and messed up, and you have all this trash everywhere. It feels like a real grimy city. And the LA in Strange Days is similar. They did a good job of just showing us the world that these characters are inhabiting, and it also does a lot to again, for world building and really padding out, giving us some meat to chew on, and for all the stuff that's happening in the background, and which is cool. If you can find the DVD, I'll say this other thing. If you can find the DVD, I highly recommend it. I highly recommend taking a look at the features. At this point, this is sort of early. This is one of those early DVD release types things, where like when DVD was still new. And I say this because I'm remembering the menu screen. I can remember the first DVD I ever purchased was 1998's Romeo Must Die. No, 2000. I think the movie came out in 2000. Romeo Must Die. The menu it's one of those artifacts where it's just like it's like an image. You might hear some music or whatever it is, and you can mess with the menu. It's not as interactive as some of the later DVD menus would become, where you see things moving and all kinds of stuff happen. No, these are just straight picture of, which is basically like the poster of the movie, and some music, and you can do stuff. Strange Days DVD is like that, and it doesn't have a ton of features, but the features that are there are pretty cool for what you get. I'm a huge fan of audio commentary on DVDs and Blu-rays. I love to hear them talking about the process of making the movie. And this movie doesn't have that fully, but it does have commentary about certain technical things about the movie, which is still cool. And so I'll take it. That's how I can get it, I'll take it. Yeah. Other than that, I don't think there's too much else I can say about this movie. Other than, if you can find it, watch it. In fact, and then search for it. If you can definitely search for it, and then watch it, and then come back and tell me what you think. I would love to hear your thoughts. You can also, this review will be linked to, I have a Letterboxd review that I posted. It's been a while since I've been back on Letterboxd, but it's nice to be back for a little. I posted a review on this movie there as well. So this will be linked there. And if you care to read all that text, then it's there too. So, yeah, thanks for watching this video. Thanks for taking the time to sort of let me nerd out about this excellent movie. I'm going to get out of here. Come on back. More movies reviews on the way really soon, because I saw a lot of movies and I have a lot to say. So stay tuned. Take it easy. And again, Happy New Year.